Hear now the word of the Lord. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter the tent of meeting, because the cloud settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Throughout all their journeys, whenever the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the people of Israel would set out. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they did not set out till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was on the tabernacle by day, and fire was in it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. So far, the reading of his word. You may be seated. Sunny days are good, rainy days are very helpful, but cloudy days are more fun. Only if we are able to sit there and look up into the sky and start naming the clouds. You see what they are sometimes. You see a rabbit. You see a baby. You sometimes see your own toys. And those are times where you can enjoy with your own children or perhaps by yourself, just imagining various things and that come to our minds, associations with the clouds that are before us. Well, children, the Israelites were the same way. They cared for the clouds. They understood that clouds meant something. But this time, it's not just an imagination. It actually did mean something. For the Israelites, as told in this text, were sitting there staring at a cloud on top of a mountain because it was still sitting there. And as they prepared this big tabernacle, a tent home for their God, to the specifications that God demanded, they were hoping that God will descend from the mountain and set himself upon this tabernacle. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited, asking among themselves the simple question, will God be with us? Will God be with us? This is not an idle question for them, because what happened previously was something that was very grave, very serious. Israelites sinned against God by creating an image, in this case, a golden calf, a cow, to image God, and they worshipped before this image. And in worshiping this image, they broke the laws and commandments of God, and God was very upset. In his anger, we are told in chapter 32 of Exodus, the golden calf was destroyed. 3,000 men were killed by the Levites, and then a plague followed against his own people. In fact, he was so upset that despite the fact that he was the very one who through Moses led his people out of Egypt, said these words in chapter 33 when he said, "Leave this place, but I will not go with you, because you are a stiff-necked people, and I might destroy you on the way." Tell the Israelites, you are a stiff-necked people. If I were to go with you even for a moment, I might destroy you. Talking to Moses. And so despite the fact that the Israelites, in building this tent home for God, was hopeful, they weren't exactly sure what was going to take place. So when this cloud eventually left the mountaintop and slowly started to descend upon the Israelites, eventually landing on top of this tabernacle, a home built for God, there was great rejoicing in the land. Israelites were overwhelmed. Their God, whom they thought might abandon them, now was among them. And this descent of the glory cloud was something that they were hoping but not expecting, and now actually happened before them, and was a cause for great celebration. So this morning, what we want to concentrate on is the story of the cloud. For in the cloud, as God descends upon the Israelites, there were lessons learned. And what we want to do this morning is to draw those lessons out. And I want to say this before I start, just on a technical level. The first point is the longest. Don't be alarmed and discouraged that all the other points will be the same. The second point will be slightly shorter, and the third point will be really short. And so don't be alarmed by the first point we go through. When we go through 3 points, one, the cloud reminds the Israelites and us that we are the people of God. The cloud reminds the Israelites and us that we are a people without a home. The cloud reminds the Israelites and all of us that we are indeed people of complete dependence. People of complete dependence. Now, indeed, when we think about this, you come to realize that this cloud descending upon the Israelites and resting on a home that the Israelites themselves built really confirmed for them the relationship between God and them. Indeed, that they were the people of God. For we know the history lesson is found in the clouds themselves. For what we see in the cloud is the fact that this cloud was the very cloud that led them out of slavery in Egypt. Indeed, the Israelites were people redeemed by God. After hundreds of years under the bondage of slavery, an unlikely hero named Moses comes as the champion of God. And he, through the power of God, leads the people of the Israelites out of the land of slavery, and they start on their journey. With his might, that is God's might, he destroyed the enemies and freed his people from years and centuries of bondage. In the cloud, we are reminded that these are indeed the people created by God. That this is a nation, the Israelites, who are once just family members. And these individuals were no names, sitting in the land of Egypt, a great nation during that time period. And now God comes, leading them out, and he stands as their champion, creating the nation in which they find themselves. Exodus 19 reminds us, you yourself have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you myself. Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasure possession among all the people. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel. In this declaration, Moses comes to relay the message of God of not only them becoming a nation, not only them becoming and being declared treasured people of God, they are given laws and commandments for them to keep. For now, God is their king, and they are his subjects, and this new nation has been formed by God. So the cloud coming down not only reminds them of the place they left once before, a land of slavery, it reminds them these people, once family members, are now created by God as a new nation. But perhaps the thing that the Israelites remember the most may be what the clouds did for them directly. When the Israelites were leaving, and as the Pharaoh allowed them to leave after the 10 plagues, one thing that we see is that the Egyptians did not allow them to go peacefully. Pharaoh changed his mind. And so he sends out his great army chasing the Israelites. As the Israelites were running away, they came to a place right before the Red Sea where they were now stuck. They couldn't move forward anymore, for the water was before them. And when they turned around, they realized that the Egyptians and the armies were following them. They cried out to God, saying, "Is this how you wanted us to die? You brought us out of the land of slavery, and this is how you intend to destroy us?" When this cry of the Israelites went up, we are told of an interesting story of the cloud. This very cloud that was leading them by day and the fire pillar that was leading them by night, we see an interesting movement on the part of God. As they're stuck, we are told in Exodus 14, then the angel of God who was going before the host of Israel moved and went behind them. This pillar of cloud that was leading the Israelites now started to move around the Israelites. Passing the millions that left Egypt, they went behind Israelites and stood there. And the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them, coming between the host of Egypt and the host of Israel. And there was the cloud and the darkness. And it lit up the night without one coming near the other all night. So the Israelites were about to be destroyed, either by water or by the Egyptians. But this cloud in its movement moved behind the Israelites and confounded the Egyptians, confused them, and kept them in darkness, protecting the Israelites as the water separated so that they may cross, eventually freeing them and destroying the Egyptians. So when this cloud descended upon this tabernacle,